So the war between Israel and Hamas is intensifying.
Well, at least 4,000 lives have been lost on both sides, among them 30 Americans. And now President Biden preparing to travel to Israel. This comes amid new calls for U.S. aid for Israel. Bronx Representative Richie Torres has been leading those calls, and he's joining us this morning from his office in D.C. Congressman, nice to have you back on Good Day.
Always a pleasure to be here.
So you have been very vocal for your support of Israel and even condemning some of the people in your own party who have not been strong enough. Tell me what that's like, and has there been any pushback?
Well, it's not so much the party, but it's I've been condemning organizations like the New York City Democratic Socialists of America that held a rally glorifying the terrorism of Hamas, cheering and celebrating the cold-blooded murder of Israeli civilians and children. To me, that's profoundly indecent and inhuman and indifferent to the suffering of both Israelis and Jews, and every decent person should condemn it. You know, October 7th was the deadliest terrorist attack in the history of Israel. It was the deadliest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. Hamas's terrorist attack is so barbaric that it cannot be ignored, and Hamas must be brought to justice. We must do to Hamas what we did to ISIS and Al-Qaeda and the Nazis. We must hold them accountable.
So what do you think America should be doing that we are not doing right now?
Well, once we have a functioning House, we should pass legislation that provides Israel with the funding that it needs to defend itself. The highest priority is the replenishment of Iron Dome, which protects civilians from rocket fire. There's a concern that the conflict with Hamas in the Gaza Strip could metastasize into a multi-front war. Hezbollah, which has 200,000 rockets, could open a front against Israel at the Lebanese border. And so there needs to be a replenished Iron Dome, and that's the need for legislation in Congress.
I think it's eye-opening, the fact that maybe on social media, more so on social media, we are not united in condemning Hamas in its barbaric acts, calling them for what they are, terrorists. You see a lot of stuff on social media saying that they're freedom fighters, that they're glorified, they're even justified. It's called resistance. How do you think we got to that point in terms of people being so openly able to say those things online?
I largely blame social media and college campuses. I mean, if you cannot bring yourself to condemn the butchering and burning of babies, then there's something fundamentally and profoundly wrong with you, right? If you have an ideology that causes you to glorify terrorism, there's something wrong with your ideology. And there are far too many young people who have been indoctrinated with a hatred for Israel that is so fanatical, that is so vicious, that you have people celebrating the death of Jews in Israel, and that's unacceptable.
We're talking about some 199 hostages still held in Gaza right now. The U.S. Department has not identified how many of those are Americans. What is the update on that? And I know you've been putting out some information on Twitter, trying to give some people some assistance, and if they are connected to someone there, have you heard anything back from officials about that?
You know, we know most of the hostages. Obviously, you know, there are operations underway, and I cannot comment on classified operations, but there's no greater priority for the federal government than to recover those American hostages.
Congressman, I'm sure you must have Palestinians in your district. What are they saying to you?
The war is a humanitarian crisis for the Palestinians, but we have to keep in mind that that Israel did not cause the war was imposed upon Israel by the barbaric terrorism of Hamas. And I'm convinced that the overthrow of Hamas will ultimately represent the liberation of the Palestinian people. If there were a government in the Gaza Strip that was able and willing to make peace with Israel, it would give Palestinians a fighting chance at a decent life, which they deserve. Every person on earth deserves a fighting chance at a decent life.
I know you were just talking about college campuses a second ago, as you saw some big business people are starting to threaten holding funding from their alma maters and things, rescinding job offers. Do you think college students should be canceled for speaking out, or do you think they should be given another chance? How do you feel about this?
I'm not clear that I consider it cancellation. You know, I think I, as an individual and an institution, we have a right to disassociate from anti-Semites, right? If I'm an employer, why on earth would I hire someone who supports terrorism, who's celebrating the murder of Jews. I would never hire a racist, so why would I hire an anti-Semite? So that's not cancellation, that's my freedom of association. I'm exercising my freedom of association. And every employer, every institution in America has a right to exercise their right to disassociate from racists and anti-Semites and extremists in every form.
You have an event coming up in, I believe it's October, right, in the Bronx?
What event?
I think the Bronx event on October 15th with Israel's special envoy for combating anti-Semitism. Are you part of that?
No, last Sunday, you know, because in response to the as you know, during the National Day of Jihad, Hamas called for harm against Jews beyond the borders of Israel in the United States, which has the largest Jewish population outside Israel. And so to show solidarity with the Jewish community in the Bronx, you know, I brought Israel's special envoy to combat anti-Semitism to Riverdale to show support, to show solidarity with the Jewish community there, to make it clear that there is no place for hate or bigotry here in New York City.
In showing solidarity, I know you also want to provide aid to Israel. Hard to get that done with no fully elected Speaker of the House. What's going on behind the scenes right now as we're really trying to figure this stuff out?
Well, look, under House Republicans, the House of Representatives has never been more dysfunctional and ungovernable. The inmates are running the asylum. If the House were a country, it would be a failed state because we've seen nothing but incompetence, dysfunction, and extremism. There's a Republican civil war. There's a Republican coup d'etat. It appears that Jim Jordan has emerged as the favorite to become Speaker. It's not a certainty, but increasingly it's a probability. And a vote is going to likely happen noon today.
Will you support him?
Well, I'm fully behind Hakeem Jeffries because he represents the kind of stable, calm leadership that we need in a time of emergency.
All right, Congressman Richie Torres, thank you so much. I know you have a lot on your plate over there in D.C. We appreciate you weighing in this morning.
Absolutely. Take care.
Thanks.
Thank you.